Hello and welcome to the This Is Metal show. This is our first new show of 2024, and we'd like to welcome me and Tom, our very special guest today, the legendary Jeff Pilson. People know him from many bands, Dio, Dokken, of course, is the main one, Foreigner. I think, I dare say, Jeff, you've been doing Foreigner probably even longer than Dokken, I don't know. But today we're talking about this album came out yesterday, Against the Winds, of Revolution Saints. I know you're not an original member, so could you tell us a little bit about the Revolution Saints and how you got involved in it?
Sure. Well, originally the band had Jack Blades and Doug Aldrich on bass and guitar.
Sure.
They did, I believe, 3 records.
So.
And then on the last record, the one before this, Eagle Flight, I joined and Joel Hoekstra joined. And the way I joined is Jack and Doug decided to leave, and Serafino from Frontiers Records called up and asked. He said, "Hey, would you be into doing this band?" And an opportunity to play with Joel and Dean, of course. Yeah. I knew Joel. I'd worked with him before. I know how great he is. I've known Dean a long time, and I love his voice. It gives me goosebumps. So it was a no-brainer, and I joined, like I say, last record.
Now, that's the cool thing about this. Dean, many people know him from Journeys, the Dead Daisies, many other things, as a drummer. I remember even when he was Dead Daisies, they recorded a great cover of A Fortunate Son with him doing lead vocals. So I think it's great that he's getting a chance to show what he can do vocally, finally.
Me too.
And Revolution Saints, was it just a matter of it, Jack was no longer available, or he was committed full-time to Night Ranger, or do you know this kind of like where they bring different musicians in?
I've known Jack, and I've known him well for I've known Jack for close to 50 years.
Sure.
Yeah, 48 years, 1976. So I've known Jack forever. He's a great friend, wonderful guy. I don't actually know. I've spoken. I'm trying to think. We did some shows with Night Ranger last year, and I'm trying to think if I was already in Revolution Saints or not.
I got you. Yeah.
But I didn't ask. I forgot to ask, or I didn't ask, or I didn't think to ask. And I've seen Doug, and I haven't asked either of them why they left, but I love them both and trust them that they had their reasons. And like I say, it gives me an opportunity to be in another band that I really think the world of. And so I don't know why they left, but
okay.
They asked me, and I'm glad they asked Joel.
Before I throw it to my co-host, last thing I want to ask you about this is it very much seems like a songwriter. Interesting, like you, Joel, and Dean are all great songwriters. Interesting enough, none of you guys were involved with the songwriting, but you're part of the band. You come in, you record these songs. What's that like for you, Jeff? Because typically you're known as a great songwriter,
Right. Well, actually, all the songs for both this record and the last one were in place when I joined.
Okay.
I think as well. So that's okay, but that's okay. I like having a project where I only have to play bass. It's very nice. But having said that, we are trying to figure out a way where the three of us, Dean, Joel, and I, can get together for the next record, because Alessandro has said he'd like to get the band involved in the writing on the next record now that we have this team in place. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can set up and play, which would be absolutely awesome. Sure. I hope that can happen. Who knows? But I've already submitted a couple songs that Alessandro wants to use. So there's probably going to be a lot more band involvement next time, which is cool. To whatever degree we can add to that is great. But to answer your other question, it's great for me. I like being in a position where I can just kind of kick back and not have as much responsibility. And I trust Alessandro implicitly.
Sure. And again, this album just came out, yesterday. And what I love about it, I think Revolution Saints really proves is it proves that a great song is a great song, because no matter if Jeff Pilson was involved in the songwriting, we got a great band here. And you guys do a killer job. Every song really just, there's not one filler track on here. And I think it just proves that a great written song, it doesn't matter who writes it, if you got the right musicians in place, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's about, composition, performance, emotion, and as long as you got that, you're rocking.
Okay, Tom, I'm going to throw it to you. I know you have questions you want to ask Jeff too.
Absolutely, Jeff. First of all, I've been a fan of yours for many, many years. Loved you, and loved you in Rockstar too. So Ripper and I are good friends. We recorded together. Ripper sang my last 2 albums for me.
Cool.
Ripper and I are very good friends. I was out to the Metal Hall when he got inducted. I played out there this year. Joel Hoster was there too.
Oh,
He played
great.
Ripper. Yeah, it was a great time. So I was listening to the album, absolutely, and I'm a president of a record label, and I was like, this album blew me away. And one song that really stuck out, Changing My Mind. That
Mhm.
is like what an 80s ballad brought into 2024 should sound like. That is
Yeah,
like the
I
ultimate
agree.
rock. I mean, you listen
Yeah.
to the 80s, but this is how it's progressed and evolved. Why don't you talk a little bit about that song? I mean, I know you didn't write it, but boy, I'll tell you, that's just incredible.
Well, I mean, I had the same reaction when I got the tracks to put bass on. I was like, wow, this is a really well composed, like you say, kind of 80s kind of ballad, but there is a modern sensibility. And
Yes.
I think what it is it's not necessarily a modern sensibility as much as a timeless sensibility, which when a song can become timeless, you've really achieved something. And I kind of feel that way about the song myself, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, that's just. Did that get any radio time? I mean, I know you guys were just released. Did you guys do a radio package with this? I mean, that song should be all over the world. I'm telling you, I loved it.
Well,
Jason will tell you, I don't say that to many people, but that was like a song that I
there
see.
is a video for it, so at some point, I think there is a plan to release it. Yes.
Good. That's too good of a song not to be heard. I mean, the whole album's great, but that one just really hit me, you know?
Yeah, and like I say, we did do a video for it, so I think you're going to see more of it.
I watched the video. I watched the video for it today too. Yeah, but I just think the whole album is so well written, and just when something like that sticks out to me, and I hear we get submitted probably 20 bands a week come to us, and 20 bands a week usually get turned down. At least 19 of them do. You hear something like that, and I was like, wow, that is a song. That's
the reaction we want. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll throw it back to Jason. I've said pretty much.
You know, Fall on My Knees, that's another great track off the album. It's the only one out of the album kind of has a Dokken vibe to it, and I don't know if it's just the Jeff Pilson bass playing we get, but because again, you're not involved in the writing, but it's kind of just another great song, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think I think the Dokken, I think that's just part. I think it's in Alessandro's DNA, you know, that kind of thing as well. It's melodic rock. I don't think my bass playing changed it, although I did approach it from a very Dokken angle, which is
obviously,
which for me obviously is home turf. So that's great. Yeah, I agree with you. Cool song, Dokken vibe. Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. And while we're on the subject of Dokken, interesting enough, doing the interview today, I was reading online somewhere posted the fact today is like the 37th anniversary since Dokken released Dream Warriors as a single, which is kind of cool. Another Jeff Pilson pen track, but I always love that song. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah. That was a good one. That was a moment of inspiration. That was the first song George and I wrote on our new. We had these 12-track recorders that we got, and we were really excited about it because wow, you know, we went from 4 tracks to 12 for our demos, and and somewhere I've got the original demo for Dream Warriors. In fact, I've seen it on the web. Somehow people have it, and I actually have the real deal. But it was an amazingly inspired song. I remember that. We were really, like I say, excited about the new 12-track recorder, and I was just really happy that Wes Craven, who did the movie Nightmare on Elm Street, loved the song, and our managers loved the song. So pretty special moment. And
I think, you know, your song being placed in that movie, that's probably one of the most talked about, besides the first Friday, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street movie that's ever talked about. And you're always hearing that movie and Dokken, Dream Warriors. So I think it's cool you guys got that connection.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it did a lot for our career. It was our manager's doing. He was a friend of Wes Craven, but our manager, Cliff Bernstein, kind of orchestrated that whole thing. And it was brilliant because we were the first video ever included in the movie package. Was sold as a, I guess, VHS back then. And that was a big deal, and it got us a lot of recognition and notoriety, and I think it really helped set us up for Back for the Attack to really go through the roof.
Oh yeah, and you know, the last thing I want to ask you about Dokken is, you know, you're working these days in Machine with George, of course, and Wild Mick Brown's younger brother Steve, which is a great drummer in his own right. But you know, it's amazing. I had a chance to talk to Steve, and he's a super cool guy. But we were talking about the fact, you know, Wild Mick Brown, like what a road warrior. I mean, he drums so much to the point that he really literally cannot play anymore, and he's retired. But I mean, you played with some great musicians over the years, Jeff.
Yes, I have. What was the question?
I was just asking, can you believe that? I mean, it's hard to believe a guy can, drum so hard, but he's just at the point where he can't physically play anymore.
Yeah, yeah, he was in a lot of pain,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you something. Mick Brown is so happy being retired.
Yeah,
I'm really actually very happy for him, because when I hear from him, he texted me on my birthday, it was just a couple weeks ago, and he said some really sweet things. I can tell, and I talked to him not too long before that. I can tell he's in a really good place, and retirement is suiting him well. So yay! And the fact that we have Steve Brown there to replace Mick Brown is an amazing thing, because Mick Brown is a really special musician.
Sure.
Far better drummer than people ever gave him credit for, and a far better singer than people ever realized. So Steve is so much like him, both in his drumming and his singing. So it's pretty incredible. I love the fact that we're able to sustain like the M Machine, or if there ever were a Dokken reunion, I'm sure it would be Steve. So it's pretty cool that we're able to do that with somebody as great as Steve, and replacing somebody as great as Mick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw it back to you, Tom. I'm sure you have some more questions for Jeff.
Absolutely. So are there plans for you guys to tour, to back this album?
Revolution Saints? Well, no concrete plans. Logistically, it's really hard to pull these things off, especially because we all have our day jobs.
I know.
And Journey's out, and we're out. I mean, Foreigner's out for actually March 1st. I'm out pretty much till Thanksgiving. So no, there's no talk of anything concrete, but there is talk of trying to make it happen at some point. Who knows? My schedule is going to open up a bit in 2025. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to
maybe some festivals, something like that.
Yeah, maybe, possibly.
This is like an arena band to me. This is an arena band. It should be out there like a major festival. Let people hear this.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's the logistics that make it difficult. Sure. But the desire is there, so we'll see. Nice.
It'd be a great band to see. So you guys are getting ready to do the next album, you said, for this, and you're going to be involved in the writing?
Well, we're going to be doing I'm not sure exactly when we're going to start. Sure. We were talking about starting it last summer, but obviously that didn't happen. And Alessandro had some health issues that he had to deal with. So, but whenever we do start the writing, which probably isn't too far away, I mean, I think we're going to promote this for a while, but sure. The plan is to get the band more involved. And like I say, I've submitted a couple songs already. We'll see how it all pans out. But I'm hoping the band can be more involved, because it would be fun. But either way, the material, I know the material is well taken care of in this project.
Oh, absolutely. So the last thing I'd like to say is, you're with Foreigner, correct? You're playing with Foreigner. You're out with those guys. Is this going to be their last tour? Do you know? Or, I mean, we've heard a few different things, and I hate to ask that question. I'm friends with Lou Graham. Lou lives like 50 minutes from me. He's in Rochester, New York. I'm in upstate New York.
Oh, great. Well, we're calling this a farewell tour for a reason, which is that this is the last year that Foreigner is going to do 9 months of touring, a big tour kind of thing. Sure. I think we're going to continue on after this.
Sure, playing some shows and stuff.
And I think there'll be select shows. I mean, and probably in a more condensed period. There's no, like I say, there's no concrete plans for 2025 yet, but I believe we are going to continue on playing. Yes, this is the last year of a big, long, full-on tour. And
I'll see you guys. I'll be at one of your shows at least. I always try to catch you guys when you can.
Oh, well, great. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to play somewhere in upstate New York.
Oh, absolutely. I would think so. You got a big fan base here. And what about, are you in touch with Don Dokken at all? Do you guys still talk at all, or?
Occasionally. It's been a while, but there would certainly be contact if we had anything to deal with.
I was just curious. I mean, that's something probably the world would love to see you guys come back out and at least do some shows together, if possible.
Yeah. Who knows? I've told many people in interviews that I would love to do one last Dokken record. That was a really great one. That would be great. Who knows if it could happen? Sure. Right now Don is promoting his new record and promoting a record. So, it would be premature to even think about that in some ways. But having said that, George's schedule is going to open up more in 2025 because he's on his last ride with Lynch Mob. And my schedule is going to be much more open in 2025. So But who knows where Don's at? Don's living in New Mexico, so logistically that would be difficult. Because I would love it. I mean, if we did a Dokken record, it would be nice if we collaborated. So who knows? I don't think the door is closed, but I think it's a more remote chance of it's more likely that it won't happen than it will, but who knows?
So Jeff, when you are done with Foreigner, do you see like would you ever form like your own band, or do you think you'd do more of these side projects like this that you've been doing?
I can't see forming my own band unless it was I just can't see that. That's
Okay.
unlikely at this point. I would, I'd love to spend more time in here. This is my studio and I love my studio. And so I'd love, yes, probably more projects. Maybe I can devote a little more time to some of these projects,
Sure.
and maybe some of the maybe some of them could go play live. That would be wonderful if it could ever happen. I mean, again, it's very logistically difficult, and it's even if people are available, it's expensive. It's hard to pull off. You got to rehearse. If even if you recorded the album, did you record it a year ago, and how are you going to remember it now? There's all those kind of things that you have to think about. We're human beings, and we're not youngsters. So
sure, yeah.
But having said that, I do want to do a lot of music once my schedule opens up, and I am really looking forward to that.
On the subject of the Revolution Saints album, and the recording, were you guys at all in the studio together? Did everybody do the modern way, record their separate parts?
No, it was done separately. Yeah.
And yet it sounds as beautiful as it does, which is modern technology.
Well, that's part of what I mean. That's a thing that Alessandro is conscious of, making it feel like a band. So. And I think he did a great job. There is a consistent sound about the band, even from the albums we're not on. And I like that.
Yeah, amazingly so. That's kind of what I got from listening to the entire album is very much another band kind of reminds me like the Dead Daisies, where you have members coming and going, but it doesn't seem to matter. It's just great music.
It's about Dean's voice too. Great songs and showcasing Dean's voice. So whatever it takes to do the best job of that is where I'm at.
And you guys as a rhythm section, I mean, even though you're not in the same room, it sounds like you're playing together, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, most records, even records where the bands are full time together, don't necessarily record together. So
yeah, I'm the same.
I mean, when I'm doing the drum tracks, the bass tracks, if I'm doing them in here, I got the drums cranked, so it feels like we're in the same room together. And that's part of what we do is we make it feel cohesive, and that's I think part of the reason they hire guys like us.
Yeah, and I know as a producer, you've been very involved with the Last in Line band. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I haven't been on their more recent stuff. I did the first two records.
Okay.
They're just really dear friends. And Jimmy, Vivian, and Vinny, I go back a long ways with, and we're really tight. And like the first record was pretty magical, and the fact that was Jimmy's last record, and the fact that Jimmy loved that record. I mean, I remember there were so many times when he would just say, "Wow, man, I'm so happy that we're doing this. This is really great." And and doing bass tracks with Jimmy, who had been a friend for forever, was really, really cool. And the things that he was really involved in the writing, which he was just really engaged in the record. And the fact that was his last record, and that it was one that really creatively made him happy, that is a huge thing for me, because I love Jimmy dearly. And I love Vivian and Vinny. They're really close. And then when Phil came in, that was great too, because Phil and I Phil used to be a roommate of mine in the 80s.
Wow.
So we have a lot of connections, and that record was really, really, really fun. Andrew's such an incredible singer and writer, so those first two records were really magical. Again, I didn't have anything to do with what they've done since.
They
don't really need me, frankly.
No.
And Phil is a very capable producer himself. So I mean, I love the fact that I was involved in those first two records. I'm very proud of both records.
Sure. You should be.
And they're just a special band, and they do go out and play live, which I think is really cool.
And you of course were in Dio with Vinny and Ronnie. We couldn't let you go without asking about that, because Ronnie, who's not a Ronnie James Dio fan, and what as a bass player, somebody having known Jimmy Bain, what was it like getting a chance to get up on stage with Ronnie and play many of those bass riffs written by the legendary Jimmy Bain?
It was great. I mean, I adored the Dio records and I adored the band. And, when Dokken opened for them in 84 and 85, George and I would watch every night because they were so great and they were just a really together band at that point. And that was kind of what helped kick Dokken into shape because we watched that and we were like, we got to be that good, and it was a great example. Then being in the band it kind of felt natural. That's the thing. It felt like it should be. And, the way it came about was so organic. And when we started playing together, it was just amazing. And yes, I mean, everybody knows how great a singer Ronnie was, but he was also a great band leader and a great band member and a great musician, as well as being a great human being. That was a magical time. And that getting up on and playing live with Vinny and Ronnie and Tracy G, who was amazing, and Scott Warren was on keyboards, who was great. That was a magical experience. And I think I took a lot from that. And I think it helped me when Dokken reformed after that. And even in Foreigner, I think I became a stronger bass player after playing with those guys live. And singing with Ronnie live. Oh my God.
I bet. Yeah.
I didn't sing that much of the set, but I got to sing enough to really feel it. And Ronnie would tell me like, I'm not used to having somebody else. This is great. And like the end of We Rock, We Rock.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like you're the Michael Anthony of Dio. I mean, that background sound. It was
in a minor way. I mean, Michael is far more achieved in that.
I got it.
Than I was with Dio, but I had the moments that felt like that, and Ronnie and I would look at each other and We Rock, and we could just feel how cool it was, and that's the best, man. That's when I feel like I got the best job.
I got to tell you, Jeff, it's funny you said that about Ronnie because practically everybody I've talked to that ever knew Ronnie James Dio, that's the one thing they tell me, besides what a great singer and everything. So you know what? You know what he was? He was a great human being.
Yes, he was. He was an amazing friend, great human being. Think of him often, miss him every day.
Yeah. And I also got to ask you about a couple of these other projects. A friend of mine, Joe Lawson, who used to be the original co-host of the show, he wanted me to ask you, any chance, talk a little bit about Black Swan, any chance there may be a future album or anything from that?
Yeah. Actually, last week, Red Beach was here for a week, and we started writing the next Black Swan record. We're 7 songs in. So, and it's strong and great, and it's going to be a great album. It's not going to probably come out, I'm sure, until sometime into 2025, but it's going to be a great one.
We're working on it. That's great to hear. And other thing I want to ask you, Heavy Hitters, that's another one of these projects you did with George Lynch. Just in kind of anticipation for today's interview, I posted, I think you guys did a great cover. It's an REM song, The World as We Know It is Fine.
That was the first record. Yeah, that was the first record. There's a new
and I tell you, for an REM song, you guys, which Heavy Hitters, I get it, you guys really rocked it up and almost sounds like a completely different song, but that's what I loved about it. Yeah.
Right. And that was what we tried to do. That was fun. It was really fun. But that's the first record. You got to hear the new record. The newer record, I forget when it came out, but
just a year, maybe a year or two ago.
Heavy Hitters 2 is a great one. You got to check it out.
And since fans seem to like that, if you George, I know you're busy with so many things. You think there'd be maybe another album?
Heavy Hitters?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, we are kind of busy at the moment, but again, in 2025, when the schedule opens up,
yeah.
George lives down the street, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. You and him are involved in all these projects, so I guess you and George, there seems to have been like this immediate connection. I mean, as writers, as friends, did you feel that immediately when you guys first start?
Immediately. Yeah. And I've told this story before, but the first time George for some reason, George had to come over to my house to pick me up. This is when I just joined the band.
Yeah.
I just joined the band, and he had to pick me up for something. We were going to do, I don't know, photo shoot or something. And he came to the house. He walks in the door. My guitar is sitting there on a rack. He picks it up. We start writing a song. I mean, it was just that immediate. We had immediate connection and an immediate chemistry that lasts to this day. And those kind of things you don't want to take for granted because that's.
Oh, no. Well, Tom, I'm gonna throw it to you, and you can wrap it up.
Sure. Just a quick question for you. Do you have a special bass that you would like to record with, or do you record multiple basses? I have a Strat, an 86 Strat, that I just love the sound of it. I record all my albums with that. Is there something you do, or do you use multiple basses?
Well, I do, but that's my baby right there, my 58P bass. You see that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. That is just a magical bass that has been on. I've owned it since 1986. It's been on Dio and Dokken records, and it's been on Foreigner records. It's been,
Wow.
I mean, it's all over the map. That bass is a magical bass. It is absolutely incredible. And yeah, that's my baby. If you're gonna
You
ask
take
me,
it live with you too? Did you take it live with you?
I have, but I hesitate
To
taking it
record?
on the road because,
Yeah.
but because I just had back surgery and I have to be very careful about what I put around my neck for a while, I may take it out on the road, but I'd be very nervous. You know, I actually had to check with Foreigner. Are we well insured? And they said, yes, we are. So,
Yeah.
but that's a special bass. That's a really special bass. I'd love to play it live, but I'm hesitant.
Wow.
Sure,
Wow.
sure, absolutely. But that was one of the things, because I love my Strat. I have an 86 Strat I bought in 86. And Ross the Boss was in Man of War. He's a good friend of mine. He modified this, put special pickups in it, and no guitar sounds like it. And I just absolutely love that guitar. To this day, I play it all the time.
There you go. You know the feeling.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate getting a chance to talk with you, man. I've seen you so
great.
many times and seen you live and stuff. I can't wait. Can't wait to see you live again when you come through
Yeah,
the corner.
this should be getting posted probably next Tuesday, Jeff. So I'll be sure to let Jody know, and you guys can check it out. And like I said, we'd love to have you back to talk about Thin Machine once that gets released, which I think is in
March
March.
8th.
And one final question, Jeff. I got to ask you this: who would you say is your all-time favorite bass player, or at least the person you'd say influenced you the most to want to pick up the bass?
Well, I had already picked up the bass by the time I first heard him, but Chris Squire of Yes was absolutely my main guy. I mean,
Okay.
and I had been playing for, I want to say 3.5, 4 years by the time I heard him. But when I heard it, it just changed everything. I had been, you know, a fingers guy and, you know, just kind of
Wow.
learned traditional. And then I heard him
Yeah.
and I immediately changed to a pick. I soon bought a Rickenbacker bass. I had a stack of 8 12s
Wow.
behind me. I mean, I totally went in head on into Chris Squire land and learned all the Yes songs. I mean, he was my guy.
Yeah.
And I think he took my playing the furthest.
Okay.
And to this day, I just think his playing was brilliant. His feel, his sound, his note selection, everything about Chris Squire, I still think is just top of the heap, and he would be my number one guy. Paul McCartney, right under that.
Wow, I can see that. Well, Chris
Paul
Squire,
McCartney.
thanks for influencing Jeff Pilson, because of that, we have all this great music now.
I hope so. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Jeff. We'll be talking to you. Take care, my friend.
Yeah, guys, thank you. And yeah, let's talk M Machine soon. It's coming out
We'll
March.
do. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.